Good evening, viewers in India, Middle East, and Australia. A very good morning to viewers in the US and UK. My name is Atul Kishore. I am from Seva at Home, India. I'm very happy today, and not because the topic is on happiness, and that's the right thing to do, but I'm happy because we have a certified life coach who's undoubtedly one of the best in the business to speak to you on curate your own happiness. But before I introduce you to her, let me tell you a little bit about Seva at Home, the company that brings you the webinar today. Seva at Home is a multinational company into home healthcare services, connecting continents with operations in the UK, US, and India. Seva at Home takes care of one's loved ones remotely. One can therefore ask for a doctor, a nurse, a care attendant, a nutritionist, or a physiotherapist at one's home in India while sitting in, let's say, Hong Kong or anywhere else in the world, or even within the country while he or she is in another city. With the launch of Seva Pro, the company has forayed into corporate wellness as well. Medical room management, health checks, telehealth, ambulances, wellness sessions, and even home care services for corporate employees are just a phone call away. Now, today's session is entitled Curate Your Own Happiness. How often do we delude ourselves about our past and our future? We've all started a sentence with the phrase like, won't it be great when we grow up, get married, fall in love, have kids, etc. Or similarly, we often have heard older people say, wasn't it great when so and so happened? Think about how seldom do we say that, isn't this great right now? So, surely our past and future aren't always better than the present, yet we continue to think that that is the case. So, let's try and make sure that we are happy in the present. And there's no better person than Amritaa Gupta Nair who can help us do that. Amrita's corporate experience spans over 20 years in roles in hospitality, corporate affairs, relocation services, digital marketing, and more recently in special education. Her work has taken her across India, Oman, UAE, and the United States. In 2018, she set up what is called as the Happiness Headquarter, where she has been working with diverse groups of people to help them explore greater meaning to inner happiness. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, Amrita Gupta Nair.
Thank you so much, Atul. Thanks a lot for your kind words. And I have to salute the initiative of Seva at Home. It just sounds like a very sensitive initiative with a heart and soul, something that I'm sure people appreciate. So I really love the whole concept and the initiative of Seva at Home. And thank you so much for having me over. So welcome everybody, and let me start sharing my screen with all of you. A warm welcome to one and all to this session of curating your own happiness. Atul, if you could confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, like Atul said, happiness is a word, of course, we are all familiar with it. Happiness is something that we have all experienced, just like we have all experienced the lack of it, or what we call unhappiness. But for sure, to different people, happiness means different things. It cannot be the same for everybody. But let's today spend little time together just to take a little dive within to understand few concepts around happiness, few insights about happiness. And not just that, because I would be very happy to leave you all with some tools and techniques that you could adopt as your daily practice, and that would help you get closer to making happiness a more common thing in your life, right? So let's just dive in. What I need from all of you right away is an answer to this question that's going to pop up on your screen. You could use the chat box and start typing your response to this question, that on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now? 10 being happiest, of course, and 1 being absolutely not happy. So wherever you are, feel free, start typing and share with us. What's your number? 688-687-48. Okay. Okay, very good. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being honest. Good evening. 686. Okay, okay. So it looks like a range between 6 and 8 by and large. There are some 7s in between. Not bad at all. I would say that's not bad at all. Yes, we all want to be as close to 10 as is possible. But before we even jump in, there is one myth that I would definitely like to clear right at the onset. Happiness is not something that one can feel every day, all day, forever. For sure, the ups and downs of lives would always bring in, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are not. However, when we are a little more connected with the insights of happiness, with the practice of happiness, what it does to us is that even if we get away from feeling happy, even if we get very unhappy, for whatever may be the reason outside going on in the world, there is an ability to jump back into your equilibrium where you can start to feel happy again. You make yourself more qualified and more skilled to do that. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you very much for your response. Let's just move ahead. Can you still see my screen? Because I think my screen seems locked. Atul, are you able to see my screen?
We can see the screen, but the content is not there yet. Yes.
Okay, there it is. Yeah. So here is a statement. Happiness starts with you, not with your relationships, not with your job, not with your money, but with you. This is a statement we are going to revisit right at the end of this session after we have spent some time talking with each other. So now let's begin by understanding we live in this world, all of us, no matter where we are, we live in this world through our inner world and outer world. So let's understand what is the relationship between the inner world and outer world. What is the big deal about understanding about inner world and outer world? So here it is. We are constantly experiencing everything going on in the outer world with our emotions that reside in our inner world, which means the way we think and feel and emote within us in the inner world is actually deciding how we are experiencing everything that's going on in the outer world, good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be. So let's take this premise and go ahead and look a little deeper into happiness. Now, when you look at this little image over here, what is it trying to tell us? Where did you find that? I have been searching for it everywhere. I made it myself. What is it? Happiness. So I think what they're trying to say is that you cannot outsource happiness. It's something that's ready-made. It is something that is homemade by us. And happiness is very much an inside job. Now, job is something we all understand. We are employed. Everybody's employed. When it comes to a job that we go to 9 to 5, we do understand that extremely well. So let's look at what does a job mean for people. But I'm going to put it in a very, very, very simple and basic manner. So it all begins with people having some skills, some talent, experience, and knowledge. And that's how you get hired at a job, which takes you to the workplace, the office where you work. When you go to the office, what do? You work, which means you input your time, your energy, your skill, your knowledge, and then what do you get at the end of it? You get a salary. So very simply put, this is what a job looks like. So what does it even mean when we say that happiness is an inside job? How does it connect? How does it compare? So I would say that we all begin with some knowledge, some insights about what is happiness and how one can be happy. And then we have to take those insights to our workplace. What is the workplace in this case? The inner world, where our thoughts are happening, where the emotions are coming up. And over there, how do we work? Working means having certain daily practices that are aligned with the output we are looking for, which is happiness in this case. So if you want to earn happiness, this is the whole routine that we have to go through that we do with a regular job as well, right? So here is a question for all of you. Again, you can chat and let us know, when will you be happy? Whatever may be your answer, give me an answer. When will you be happy? Simple question. Let's look at all your answers. When will you all be happy? I don't see any answers coming up here.
You need to put your answer in the chat box.
Go ahead and put in your answers in the chat box. You can type in whatever it means to you. When will you be happy? Nobody? I have got some statements which I've heard commonly from people. So let me just share that with all of you. Getting salary. Okay. Yes. Getting salary for sure. I'm sure a lot of people agree with that. When we are with family on holiday. Yes, of course. Very good. Yes. Incentive and travel allowances. Right. Right. Travel has become so dear to everybody, all the more now during pandemic. Great. Great. So here is what I would say that, like we can see different people would give you different answers to the same question, right? If you go and ask this question to somebody who is, studying to become an engineer or a doctor or whatever, somebody who's in college, if you ask that person, when will you be happy? That person is very likely to say that I'll be happy when, I get out of college and I get a good job. Well, once the person gets out of college and gets a good job, if you ask them, they'll say, I'll be happy when I can marry a girl of my choice and settle down, right? Or somebody would say, I would be happy when I can invest in a house of my own, or when I get to buy a car of my dreams, or get my daughter married, or win a lottery. And now people are saying when the coronavirus goes away. Now, if you look at all these statements, these are just a few examples. There's something common to all of them. All these statements, if you look at it, they come pinned with a condition. I'll be happy when this happens, or I'll be happy when that happens. But the true joy lies in one very simple word. Simple, but not so simple. The word is unconditional. When we learn to make our happiness or love or kindness, joy, everything that is beautiful, everything that is positive, everything that's dear to us, if we can learn to make that unconditional, then the chances are that we would be experiencing happiness a lot more. But every time I share this, I always get thrown back with this question, but how can I become unconditional all the time? Good question. Easier said than done. But the answer to this lies in, if you remember the flow chart, when you are in your inner world, which is your workspace, what do? There are some daily practice. So this is something we will discuss later. Like I told you, I am going to leave you with some toolkits and some ideas on what kind of daily practice can get you closer to becoming, for example, unconditional. Right? Moving on, let's look at some other aspects of happiness. It could be long-term, it could be short-term. What do I mean by that? Now take a look at this list. New phone, shopping, a great job, eating out, a great holiday, partying with friends. Well, all these things for sure would give us joy, pleasure, happiness, no debate, no doubt about it. But here is my question to you. Is this a sustainable model of happiness? And the reason I'm asking this is, just picture this. You want this new model of iPhone, been waiting for it, booked it, you got it, you're excited about it. You are just playing with it, figuring out all the amazing features, a day, 2 days, a week, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month. But do you think that the level of happiness and joy that you started off with, is it going to still sustained over there? But over a period of time, perhaps it will start to come down. It's not going to stay there. It's the same maybe with a great job. The dream job you're waiting for, you get it. You celebrate with friends. You're so excited. You're just talking about it all the time. But few months down the line, who's to tell? How are you going to feel? Is it going to be sustained or not? But does that mean that we should not look to get a new phone or shopping or great job? But of course we should. These are things that give us joy, but they would be a slightly different way of looking at it. Let's find out what it is. So the question that arises is, then what is long-term happiness? How can I get it? Is it even possible to turn the short-term happiness to long-term happiness? I'm going to start with the last question. How do we turn a short-term happiness to a long-term happiness? The answer lies in the daily practice of gratitude. Gratitude, being grateful, I think we have all experienced it, every single person. I'm talking about a daily practice of gratitude where you go ahead and start journaling every single thing that you're grateful for, every single thing that you have, and start training your brain to keep responding and being more and more and more with what you have rather than what you don't have. So look at those same lists that we were looking at earlier. For example, the new phone. If you develop a daily habit of thanking for everything that you have, every wonderful thing that you have, chances are you would say that I'm so grateful for the wonderful phone I have. Same with the job. I'm extremely grateful to my job that pays my bills. So this is how these are few examples of statements of gratitude. They don't have to stop with your achieving or getting these things. Even when you moved away from all of that, you partied with your friends and then you went on, another party came up. But on a regular basis, if you say, I'm so thankful for the joyful moments I get to spend with my friends, all you have done is you have extended the experience and the sensation of having all these things in your life. So this is how, very simply, we can convert a short-term happiness to last longer and make it more sustainable. Let's get into a little more details into what is short-term happiness. The reason I really want to share these things with all of you, because I have come to understand the better we understand something, the better we are able to execute it. So it is important that we just visit these things before I can share how you can apply these in your daily life. So when and how do we get stuck with short-term happiness? It happens when we're looking for instant gratification or we're looking for a quick fix to everything in life. But this is how, if you look around, the design of the world has today become like this. Everything at your doorstep. You order something through Amazon Prime at night, next morning it's at your door. And to me, I feel this whole concept of getting everything instantly, it all started when we were kids and the 2-minute Maggie noodles came out. So just 2 minutes and there was a meal on your table. And since then, everything is all about instant and express and quick. And this is how it keeps going on and on and on. So we have gotten used to somewhere, the conditioning has happened that everything should happen immediately. But when it does not, what happens? We result being frustrated and a void within in terms of love or peace or joy. If this statement that I just made was not true, in that case, people who have made it to the top of their careers, people who have a lot of money or maybe a lot of fame and everything, whatever anybody can ask for, they should be very happy people. There should be no depression. There should be no disease like cancer or whatever. Nothing should touch them. And that's how we know that there is a deterioration in well-being happens when you have not had a sustained level of happiness, both in terms of physical and mental. So why not even look at what is long-term happiness? Let's look a little deeper into the facts about long-term happiness. There's nothing much, guys. It's very simple. The thing to remember is that it is created in the inner world. It is not something that is just grabbed and taken from the outer world. It is something that is created in the inner world. And the second most important thing to remember, it's a process. When it comes to us as humans, everything about us is a process. Look at how we incubate in our mother's womb for 9 months before we can even see the light of day. From the time we are born, we are so little in size and height and everything. And then slowly over a period of time, it's a process that we grow into the height and weight and whatever we are today. A personality, the same thing. It's a process. And once we make our peace with the fact that it's a process, then we bring down the anxiety or the frustration of getting there right away, right now, instantly. So we got to remember that long-term happiness is all about creating it in the inner world, and it is a process. Now, this brings me to another very closely related to happiness word. And I think this word became even more popular given the pandemic and given everything that has been going on with coronavirus. So a very simple definition of resilience would look like this. That resilience means adapting well in the face of adversity and is associated with a mindset that recognizes our capacity to grow through both positive and negative life events. Now, there are a few key words in this entire definition, but the word that really sticks with me is the word mindset. There's nothing more important than our mindset to determine our experience. Remember, we spoke about the inner world and the outer world. Now, here is an example, a perfect example of that. I'm sure a whole bunch of you must be really familiar with this very popular person, Nick Vujicic. He's called the man without limbs, but he happens to be the author of the book, Life Without Limits. Now, for people like you and I, if we see somebody who's born without arms, without legs, in our minds, we would think that person has zillions of limitations. But look at how he took his life. He even authored the book called Life Without Limits, and right enough, not only is he a motivational speaker, look at him, he's skydiving, he goes surfing, he plays the golf, he plays football, he's married to this beautiful woman, he has 4 children. There is nothing that this man has not achieved. And what do you think played a big role? Because no arms, no limbs, nothing. What was it? It has got to be his mindset. It has got to be the ability to be resilient. So that being said, I want to dig a little deeper into, I'm going on saying that the experience happens in our inner world, but let's just break down that process and understand how exactly. Let's see how we can identify a turning point in our lives. It's going to be very clear when you see this. So it all begins with a stimulus. I mean, there is a situation in your life. There is a scene. There is something that's happening. It could be good. It could be bad, whatever it may be. When that starts to happen in your life, what you do is you create a thought in your mind. And that thought has your own vocabulary, your own words. So you create this particular thought about the situation. Whichever way you're thinking, it is going to generate a corresponding emotion. There's going to be some feelings and emotions depending on what you thought. And whichever way you are feeling is in turn going to lead you to the reciprocation of that situation in terms of maybe your words or your action or your behavior. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, let me give you an example that could possibly make it a little more clear. Say there is a child and there's a mother and a father. The child is playing around in one of the rooms and he should not be going near something that could be breakable. Maybe the parents told the child a couple of times not to go close to that, that particular room because there's something breakable over there. And the child doesn't listen, still goes, plays, whatever it is, falls and it breaks. And so the father goes there and the father feels that we told you not to do this. Several times you were warned and yet you did it. And the father is upset and angry and he pulls up the child. But the mother could possibly, on the other hand, think that at that age, we were exactly like this. Did you not break anything growing up? Did you not listen to your parents and still go ahead and just because you were curious to look at something and play with something and you landed up ruining it or breaking it? So now just the difference in the way both parents thought about the situation, it would have generated different response. The mother may have told the child, you got to be careful next time, but the father is angry because the father felt that I told you and you did not listen to me. A simple example, but this just tells us that we do have a choice. Where do I make my choice? Situation, same. How I think about it, what words I choose to describe the situation, my perspective about it, what I'm saying, that is what is the turning point. Because that is where it's going to be decided. I go this way, that way. Which way does my emotions go? Which way do I start feeling? How do I start feeling? And based on that, I'm either going to react to something or I'm going to respond to something. And we all know that reactions are spur of the moment. And many a times we regret our reactions. But response sounds like a word which is more thought through. So obviously, a response is more likely to generate better decision making, better handling of any situation, right? So this is a very simple thing. When you really go deeper into breaking it down into these steps and understand that the choice lies in my thoughts, what tends to happen is you tend to become a little more aware. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Do I have an option? Is there another way of looking at this? Is there another way I could form a statement about this particular situation, or about a person, or about some politics happening at work, or something going on with the country, or whatever it may be? So just to bring in a little more awareness. Now, again, this is a question that gets thrown at me every time I share this flowchart. How can I manage my thoughts well through the favorable or unfavorable events of life? Because things just keep happening. They never take our permission, the unfavorable events or unwanted events, the uncertainties. They don't take our permission and land up, and they just suddenly, bam, they're in front of you. So how can I manage my thoughts well? My answer is going to be the same. The answer always lies in your working in your inner world as a daily practice, as a routine. And this is going to unfold a lot better to you as we keep progressing. So now let's look at, since we are talking about mindset, let's look at again 2 sets of statements. You see some blue statements and some red statements. So in the blue ones, I say, it's not my fault. Another way of saying it, I haven't found a solution yet. It cannot be done. We will find a way to get it done. Sorry, I'm late. The traffic was really bad. Sorry, I'm late. I did not leave enough time to get there. We are all going through a tough time currently. We are going through challenging times. And a very common one, why does everything bad always happen to me? These situations do not represent me. They're a necessary part of my journey to grow. Now, if you observe, look at all the statements in blue on the left, to me, they all sound like complaint. Oh, it cannot be done. The traffic was really bad. Why does everything bad happen to me? Why me? These all sound like complaint. However, when you look on the other side, all these statements to me, they really look like statements of responsibility. I haven't found a solution. I did not leave on time, or they are necessary part of my journey to grow, like taking responsibility. But over a period of time, if we get into the habit of complain, what tends to happen is we start to look like victims, because only a victim will say, oh, this is not working out. That is not working out. I can't help this. I can't do that. But the more responsibility we take, then it is the mindset of a leader. This is what you call a leadership mindset. And I'm not talking about being a leader. It doesn't mean that you are the leader of a company or you're leader of a country or any such thing, but the mindset of a leader, that I take charge. Leaders never say, why me? Leaders would say, try me. I'm ready. Bring it on, whatever it is. So how do we bring about a shift? Just an awareness of how we are thinking, how we are making the same statement. Yet again, I have to say, this is the question that comes up. So how can I maintain a leadership mindset all along? Like a broken record, I'm going to continue to say the same thing. The answer lies in your daily practice, right? Now, we talked about a whole bunch of things about happiness, and I feel it's important in today's day and age that we look into the science also of happiness, right? Why? Because happiness chemicals are there in the brain, the dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin, and I'm sure everybody is pretty familiar with all these chemical hormones, right? And the reason we are going to talk about them, because these hormones are called collectively the happy hormones. They always promote positive feelings, including happiness and pleasure. So let's just very quickly, chances are most of you already know what they are, but let's just quickly look at what are these hormones. Now, dopamine is a reward chemical. It's also known as the feel-good hormone. It is responsible for us to keep going and keep doing things, right? Then there is the serotonin. It helps us to regulate our mood, as well as our sleep, appetite, digestion, learning ability, and memory. The next one is the oxytocin. It's all about love hormone. It's all about trust and empathy, bonding, and relationships. And then it's the endorphin, which is the pain reliever, which your body produces in response to stress or discomfort. Now, this is good. We understand what these do. But as you can see, that they all in their own way responsible for feel good, for joy, for happiness, for love, and all the things that we are looking for. So what I'm going to share here with you is maybe just a few daily practices that are connected with the secretion of these hormones respectively. If you want, you could make a note of them. It's up to you. So let's look at each one of them. The first one is dopamine, which is a reward chemical. It happens from completing a task, from doing self-care activities. Every time you celebrate little wins. Now, to give you an example, completing a task is so important. Sometimes we are not aware that we are starting some things and not completing. A very common example would be some people would go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and they will just go brush their teeth and go on with their business and everything. Didn't make the bed. That is not called completing the task. Your task of sleeping started the night before when you went to bed. When you woke up in the morning, you needed to make the bed again to complete a task. Just a little example. So each time we do things like this, we generate or we optimize the secretion of the dopamine hormone in the brain. Now let's look at the next one, which is serotonin. It's the mood stabilizer, as we saw, comes from meditating regularly. Sun exposure. We know that places where the sun doesn't show up and it's cloudy, people find it hard to be cheerful and happy, right? And from running, swimming, cycling, all kinds of exercises would enhance that. The next one is the oxytocin, the love hormone. It comes from giving compliment to people, playing with babies, and if you're fond of dogs, playing with dogs, from holding hands, hugging. So these are not just, some people, oh, they're so hugging type, oh, they're so hand-holding type, but every time you do these things, there is a corresponding chemical reaction happening within us. It's so important that we understand that. And the last one is the endorphin, the pain reliever. We can generate better quantities of endorphin by exercising regularly, by watching comedy and humor. Dark chocolate apparently gives you better secretion of endorphin and also essential oils. So this is a little bit about how the brain is generating hormones that are responsible for these moods and these emotions in us. Going forward, let's look at energy, because we are all made up of energy. Now, I cannot even begin to tell you how deeply energy is connected to the way we experience things, to the way we feel, to our moods, to everything. Now, it's about 4 or 5 years ago that I started digging deeper into the relationship between energy and us, our moods, our stress, and everything. And I cannot even begin to tell you, there is so much that we need to understand from there. And I wish that our science classes, when they were teaching us the chapter on energy, would have touched upon some bit of it. So today I don't have the bandwidth because it's a short segment, but feel free to dig deeper and find out a little more on energy. I'm just going to touch upon some very important information or knowledge about energy. The first one is something that we all learned in our science classes. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. So it can neither be created nor destroyed, which means energy is finite, just like money. When it comes to money, we are all so conscious about the way we spend it. We are so alert about the way we save it. We are always very, very particular about the return on investment of the money that we put in. Now, for once, if we can stop and start looking at energy exactly the same way, where do you spend your energy? What are you thinking? Where are you engaging? Who are you engaging with? If we can start looking at what we are doing with energy, it can create a better awareness of what we are thinking. And we saw our thoughts are connected with our experience. The next insight about energy is that stress is nothing but a play of energy. I cannot stress this enough, this particular fact. Now, each one of us here, we have a whole bunch of roles and responsibilities and duties that we have to go through every single day. So that demand of our roles and duties and everything, we can't shortchange on that. We got to continue to do that. But in order to execute all of this, we need a certain amount of energy to execute all of that. But what if this is my demand? I got to do this, I got to do that, and I got to attend to this, and I have to go to work, I have to take care of home. I need a lot of energy, but my energy level is right here. It's not at par with where the demand is. The supply is much lower. Then this gap between the two is what determines the extent to which I'm experiencing stress. That's all stress is all about. But we are not conscious most of the time how we are spending our energy, like I spoke about it as being finite. Where are we spending it? If we sit and constantly talk about negative things happening around the globe, if we are constantly talking about negative things about other people, we are spending our energy. It's not just from physical running around alone. So it is important that we become a little mindful. What am I doing with my energy? Where am I investing it? What is the return I'm going to get by investing my energy into something positive or something negative, something disturbing? Where is my energy going? That brings me to the next insight, that energy creates vibration. We know that wherever there is energy, it is bound to create vibration. And wherever there is vibration, there is a frequency. Now, this is a connection with in our body. There's so many organs, there's so many systems that are just working magically inside our body. The pumping of the blood and the veins, it's just running through our body. All that is creating energy, and that energy has a frequency. But the frequency does not stay the same. It can become a high frequency energy when we are happy, when we are joyful, when we are feeling positive. And the same way, when we are unhappy, when we are sad, or when we are angry, triggered, annoyed, anxious, whatever, the frequency becomes low. So it is connected with what we are thinking. And this is a very important thing to be very, very aware of. Like I keep saying this again and again. I wish they had taught us this when we were growing up in schools and colleges. Just put this into the science books. And again, connected to that is the last point here. The frequency creates our energy field, or our aura, as we call it. And we are transmitting that into the world when we are interacting with other people. The relationships, the kind of equations we have with other people. It's this energy field that is deciding that. So it's not necessarily always about, oh, I have always spoken to this person so nicely. I've always been decent to this person. And you may have outwardly spoken very well, but what is going on in your mind? Are you thinking or creating positive thoughts and appreciating thoughts about that person internally? Outwardly, yes, because since we were little, we have been taught how to behave, how to speak, how to walk. This is not considered good manners. That is not considered good behavior. So we all know how to behave and conduct ourselves very well on the outside. But our energy field is not necessarily created only by the words we speak. It is created by the thoughts we think. So once we see this relationship between the thoughts we think, it is a thing to think about, everybody, because this is how we can build, make, or break relationships. So a little attention and mindfulness with energy can be very, very, very life-changing. It has been for me, but I don't have the time to talk about my personal story right now. But trust me, you can just become mindful and try it out yourself. Now, here are some common questions that come up. That how can I become more unconditional? People ask that. How can I become a calmer person? How can I become someone who doesn't get angry? Or how can I become less stressed? Or how can I become more patient? Or how can I become more productive? People ask these questions because a lot of these insights, the answer that comes back is, oh, it's easier said than done. I understand what you're saying. It sounds good, but how do I become that person? So what I'm going to share with you today is something very, very precious. This is what I call the flowchart, or the art of becoming. How do we become something? Not a rocket science, and you will see that. Now, it all begins with an intention. Let's say I have the intention of losing 15 pounds or 7 kilos. Okay. I want to lose weight. And I would have my reasons why. Maybe it's impacting my health. It may be impacting my flexibility, my stamina, or whatever it may be. That's my intention. I want to lose weight. What next? I will have to invest in it. I can't just read up about how to lose weight and fitness articles and nutrition articles. That's not going to make me reach where I want to. I got to invest in it by doing something on a regular basis, be it workout or my nutrition. Only when I invest in it with my time, my energy, or money, or whatever it is, that's when I become 15 pounds lighter or 7 kilos lighter. Isn't that easy? Now, let me tell you, this is a copy paste on everything in life. Whatever, if people say that, oh, I really want some peace in my life. I want to be calm. I want to be stress-free. I want to feel good most of the time. Well, that's a very good intention to have, but you also need to see, what investment am I making towards this investment? Am I spending more time with positive people? Am I spending more time watching humor, like we saw? Am I spending time thinking and watching positive news and information? How am I investing my mind into becoming calm? And once I invest into it, if I have done enough of those daily practice, there's no way that you cannot become who you want to become. There are plenty of examples that I can quote. It's the same like somebody wanting to become a doctor. They got to have the intention to become a doctor. Invest your money into a medical college. Invest your time and effort into studying every year. Then you become a doctor. Simple. So it all boils down to your why. Why do you want to? It has to be very clear. It has to be well defined. It has to come from within. When your why is clear, then your how starts to show up. How do you do it? There is a method, there's a step-by-step to it. And then you get to your goals. So this is what I have learned in life, that when your why is strong, then your how falls in place to get you to your goal. It's as simple as that. The art of becoming whoever you want to become. Just aligning your investment or your daily practice to whoever you want to become. You can't want to become a doctor and not be going to a medical school. You have to have a very focused intention and investment into who you want to become, right? So that brings me to the much talked about. I kept telling you I'm going to share with you some simple tools. So here are my 5 simple yet extremely powerful tools to achieve brilliance. By tools, I mean things that you adopt into your day-to-day life. Now, all these insights that we looked into, to me, they are like bricks on the wall, but your daily practice is like the cement on it. So once you put the cement on the bricks, that's when you have something solid. So here are some of the tips that I want to share with you. Again, if you want, you may write them down. And some of you may already be practicing some of these. Now, morning routine is extremely important because this is what calls the shots of the entire day, the way you begin your morning. So number 1, no social media. Enough and more talk is being going on about how first thing in the morning, almost 75 to 80% of smartphone users, which is almost everybody in the world now, they grab their phone to check social media. No, no. The second is sweat it out. Do some sort of an exercise, whether it's a walk or a gym or whatever. Why? Because it releases BDNF. It's nothing but brain-derived neurotropic factor. What does that do? It helps to restore the stress levels in the brain. The brain cells have gone through a lot of stress through the day. When you wake up in the morning and you sweat it out and you release the BDNF, you are resetting the stress cells in the body to become normal again. So you're preparing yourself for the day by doing this morning routine. The third is, of course, to practice some mindfulness, some meditation. Meditation is no longer something, oh, I'm into meditation or I don't meditate. It is so important. It is so important. I cannot begin to emphasize how much the need for meditation has gone up in this world. Even when we sleep, we are resting the body, but the mind or the consciousness is not getting full rest at all because the subconscious is still awake. It is still dreaming. It is still out there. But if you really want to get deep rest, meditation is extremely important. Strategic scheduling. Begin your day with a to-do list, because whatever gets put on your to-do list, if you have put it down, you are more likely to complete the task. You're more likely to keep striking it off, done, and derive pleasure out of it. And that will keep you going. And that is what is going to kick in your dopamine as well. It's the reward chemical we talked about, right? Strategic scheduling. Now, apart from creating a to-do list, what is also important and really talked about these days is a to-be list. So if anybody says that, oh, I have this tendency to get angry, or I have this tendency to get distracted, I don't stay on task, or I do this, or I do that, something that you're not happy about, you could put it down in your to-be list that today, just for today, I'm going to be like this. I'm not going to think like this. If certain worry about something comes up, I'm going to switch my thought into something else and I'm going to return to another place. So a to be and a to-do list. This kind of a morning routine, in fact, you can maintain this even as a night routine. It is always a good idea to shut off social media at least 30 minutes before going to bed. It is a good idea to do some meditation before going to bed. It's a good idea to strategize. What am I going to do when I wake up with a purpose? And then you go to bed. Now, that was number one. Let's look at the next one. Practice gratitude. We already touched upon it, that when you practice gratitude, then, we talked about the victim mindset and the leadership mindset. Over there as well, the more we are in a state of, oh, thank you for this is what I have in my life. Thank you for that I have in my life. When your mind is constantly being put into this practice of doing this again and again, every day, journaling, what I have, the ability to complain starts to diminish. You are no longer able to complain because you're training your mind to constantly talk about, yay, I have this, yay, I have that, because you cannot be in a state of gratitude and complain at the same time. So journaling your gratitude on an everyday basis, very important. Again, this is a topic that I think I can speak about it all day long, but I'm sure a whole bunch of you are already practicing this. Extremely powerful. The third tool that I want to share with everybody, very important, digital detox. Because when you do that, it programs the mind to practice focus rather than distraction. Yes, the digital world has brought us amazing stuff, but along with everything as a package deal, it has brought a lot of distraction out there in the form of social media or regular media. It also, when you get off digital, anything digital, it allows the mind to listen more to your inner voice rather than the numerous voices out there chatting away to glory, and we get sucked into those voices. And that's why when you do this, it enriches your me time. You're spending more time with yourself in your inner world. Because remember, the digital world, everything, all that is in your outer world. So that's why the morning routine of digital detox, so to speak, when you're not looking at social media, it's so important, because before I set out into the outer world, to all the chatter and all the conversations and news and views and opinion and everything, I first need to make my inner world ready for it. I need to charge myself before I go out there. Nobody likes to set out of the house with a battery which is almost dying on their phone. You would prefer to have a battery that's fully charged or sufficiently charged for the day. So same goes with us. The next tool in your toolkit is random act of kindness. This is a beautiful saying that unexpected kindness is the most powerful, least costly, and most underrated agent of human change. We did see that these kinds of emotions of kindness, or expressing your compliment to somebody or whatever, it is going to create a rewiring in your mind, in your brain, that is going to give you so much more satisfaction, and that is what is going to lead you to happiness. These little, these are like, jigsaw puzzles. When you're attending to so many little aspects of your inner world, when you piece them all together, then comes the big picture of happiness. Then comes the big picture of joy and motivation and inspiration. So a random act of kindness, I know everybody out there, all of you are totally capable of being kind. But we are talking about a daily practice, guys. Here you have to consciously, deliberately make sure that I'm doing it on a regular basis. It can be anything very small. When I was living in the US, it used to really touch me that so many times it would happen that I would go to a Dunkin' Donut. I'll place my order for my coffee and my donut, and when I go to pay, I'm told that the car ahead of me, who has already driven away, they already paid for me. That's what you call a random act of kindness. And you have no idea how much joy it gives you, because that person just went away. I don't even know who it is. So we can always engage, and we know how it is going to keep rewiring and reprogramming our brain as a result of that. And the last one is be 100%, which means whatever you're doing, whatever it may be, good, bad, you like it, you don't like it, work or at home. Just be present. And being present doesn't mean just being physically present. Make sure that your mind is always 100% into whatever you do. Because when you do that, there is more clarity, there's more sharpness. And as a result, there's better productivity and better experience. No doubt about it. And the best way to be 100% is to consciously couple yourself with your breath, because your breath is always in the moment. You never say that tomorrow is such a busy day. Let me just finish breathing today because I won't get any time to breathe tomorrow. Your breath is always with you. So I don't know how much time we have, Atul, because I was planning to do a short meditation if there was time at this point, but I think we are running out of time, right?
Yes, actually, I think you should take a sip of water. You've been talking for some time. I know you can go on and on, but there are a lot of questions, and
So let's
people
then dive
actually
into
want
the
to.
questions. Yeah,
Yes,
let's dive. Okay, so let me just sum up the tools before we start taking all the questions, in case anybody wants to take them down. Here are the tools, but you know what? The most important thing to understand with tools is that they have to be used on a regular basis. Whatever you do regularly, you become good at it. Whatever it is, even if it's something bad. Somebody is smoking on a regular basis, then that's it. They become great smokers. They want to smoke every day. It becomes a habit. So it is important that whatever tools we have, let's not just keep them in the toolkit and keep it aside. We got to practice it on a regular basis. And this is a very favorite Spartan war creed of mine. He who sweats more in training bleeds less in war. So invest your time and your energy on daily practice, on working on yourself. Get employed in this inside job. And then let's see who can stop you from being in touch with your happiness more often than not. So let's again, like I said, we'll look at that statement at the end again, that happiness starts with you, not with your relationships, not with your job, not with your money, but with you. So I hope that today's session helped you in any way in understanding the statement that's staring at you right now. It's all with you. And I think this is the most empowering statement, because then you know you're not dependent on anybody for your happiness. It's all about you. So I wish everybody all the best to be able to find as much happiness as you can, because it's extremely simple. It may not be easy, but it is simple. And I'm sure we can make it easy if you stick to the daily tools and daily routine and rituals. So that's all I wanted to share, and we can open up for questions if there are any, Atul.
Thank you, Amrita. I dare say, I mean, some of these insights are extremely powerful. I particularly like the one about the art of becoming.
Mm-hmm.
You have an
Thank you.
intention, you invest in it, and you'll surely become. The last one,
Yes.
when there's those 5 pointers that you mentioned, concluding with be 100%. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
relate to that because when you, I mean, and I'm sure so many of us listening to you do, we make uh, a intention of getting up the next morning and exercising the whole year
Uh-huh.
around, or those are our New Year resolutions. Set an alarm for in the morning, and next day when the alarm rings at 5 o'clock, you just reach out and put the alarm off and go back to sleep. So if you have an intention, it has to be implemented 100%, and I believe that as well. So thank you so much. There is this
Thank you,
question
Atul.
which
Mm-hmm.
says, how does one get back to happiness sooner than later from a severe and harsh situation like losing a loved one, or a
Mm-hmm.
divorce, or a loss of job? Now, that's a
Right.
tough one because you've had a setback and then
Mm.
you need to get back to happiness.
Right. Very good question. Yes, it's true that these kinds of setbacks, the ups and downs in life will keep coming, because if these ups and downs were not there, it would have been a straight line and a flat line, which is death. So life does come with a whole bunch of ups and downs, fortunately or unfortunately. Unfortunately, because yes, we take a beating as far as our feelings and emotions are concerned, as far as our relationships are concerned, but also fortunately because it also allows us an opportunity to grow through it. Now, yes, it is difficult when you have taken a beating. It's not possible that you just jump back into, like we talked about, the short-term happiness and the long-term happiness. We talked about how long-term happiness is all about a process. We talked about how their daily routine. So do not look to recover from anything. It doesn't happen, whether it's a death in the family, a grief, or whether it is from a setback in relationship, or whatever it may be. You are not likely to recover right away. But remember this, scientifically and also otherwise from your observation, you would see that over a period of time, like that's also not sustainable model. Just like we said that all the things from the outer world, like the phone or the job or whatever, it's not sustainable. It's not going to stay at the same place forever. It's going to start coming down. The same way, whatever the impact may be, if you keep your intention that whatever it is, it has happened, I accept it, but my next step is to recover from that. If your why is clear, then your how becomes very easy to understand. You know that I have to recover from this. I cannot go on feeling the way I'm feeling. I cannot get into depression because there are other people who are influenced by me and my existence and what I do. If you have that intention, if you start getting back little by little by little, but I think the key here, Atul, is to understand it's a process and not looking to feel, good right away. And if I don't feel good in 2, 3 days time, oh, I'm still feeling upset, I'm fit, it is okay. It is all right. We first have to make our peace with it and then believe in the process and keep doing these daily routines. Keep just a practice of gratitude. For a little time, you have given your mind a break from what you lost. If you shift your mind to what I have, to what I have, to what I have. So these are little ways of training the brain and the mind to shift attention from what it is going through to bringing it to where you want to be. It's a process.
How does one mend a relationship? And while all that you have mentioned, I want to apply to myself, and then, um, but the other party with whom I have actually fallen out, or I want to mend a relationship with, has not heard your talk lecture.
Interesting. Yes, very true. So this brings me to what I shared during the presentation, Atul, about the energy. Understanding that relationships are nothing but exchange of the energy field between two people. It's the interaction of the energy field. Now, we sometimes get so caught up with wanting something that desperation and the frustration of not getting, that is constantly playing in your mind. And guess what? That is the corresponding vibration outside of you. That is the frequency. So it was not in terms of falling in love with somebody, but I have experienced this myself in my life where it was with colleagues who were extremely mean with me, rude with me, and day in and day out. And outwardly, I continued to be dignified with them. I did not break into a fight or I didn't say anything back to them. But yes, in my mind, I was creating thoughts about what is wrong with these people. I'm always respectful with them. Why can't they even speak a little? They won't even say a good morning back to me when I would greet them good morning. So the only thing I did was I started shifting this energy. I started playing with the energy. Like I said, I started digging deeper into it. Where am I? Where is my vibration? What is the frequency? So deliberately, consciously, as an experiment, I started just creating loving blessings towards them, creating good thoughts about them, seeing them happy. Though it was tough. Was it easy? No, because every single day they're treating you so bad that it's not that easy to keep thinking nicely about them. But I took it up as an experiment. And believe it or not, long story short, there's a whole lot to it. But long story short, the entire equation got transformed. Because you see, energy can either be created nor destroyed, but you can transform energy. Whatever the relationship may be, with whomever it may be, we can work on it. Instead of you be conscious about the thought that you're creating, because the thought has a corresponding frequency.
Thank you so much, Amrita. There's a lot of questions on how to remain stress-free, but I guess you've answered a lot of
Yes,
on
daily
that.
practice, daily practice. Keep going at it. It's a process. Try it for 7 days in a row and see if there is any change in your stress levels. See if there is any change in your anxiety levels. And then when you get some response from it, then you would not want to trade it for anything else. You would want to get up in the morning again and continue with your daily practice. The answer lies in daily practice. I cannot stress that enough.
All right. So I ask you one last question, and then I
Sure.
think uh, you know uh, how to raise happy children in this world.
Again, a very good question. Yes, very important, so necessary. It is not so much about the quantity of time that you spend, which leads to a lot of guilt in a lot of parents today, because most parents are working and they feel that I'm not able to spend enough time with my child, and then they try to make up for it by giving them material stuff and maybe pampering them to a certain extent. But again, back to the same question. Now, when you want to raise happy children, understand you have to bring them up in a happy energy field. The impact of an energy field is a lot more than the impact of the toys that you bring or the words that you speak. Of course, your words are going to impact your child. Your child is learning everything through your words, whatever you're telling your child. But more than that, most powerful is the energy field that you're creating. You may be, to make your child happy, you come back from work, you're tired, you're disgusted with your boss or something that did not go right. You're all irritated and upset from within. But you are a good parent. So you come back home and you sit down and you play with your child. The child is seeing you're happy from outside. But what is going on inside? And now we know how what is going on inside is creating the energy field. Your child is playing with you, but is playing in that energy field of frustration or feeling low or feeling triggered or whatever it may be. So it is important that we create that energy field consciously around our children. There is no way that it would not catch up with the child. And we have to teach them what the things that I talked about today, all of these could have been taught to us when we were growing up. Is there anything that we spoke about today that a little child cannot understand? We are always taught how to sit, how to walk, how not to behave, all these things are, but we have never been taught since we were little how to think. And why people told us, be positive, be happy, don't say negative things. But why? We never were, it was not explained to us how it impacts our life, how we are curating our own happiness, how we are creating our own situations in life. But when we don't do that, we teach children to believe that external factors, so the outer world, is responsible for how, of course, the child is going to feel upset because such and such behave like this. But if we can teach the child that let anybody behave whatever way, you have a choice how you think about it, and that is how you're going to feel. So take away the victim consciousness from the child and feed the child with more of leadership consciousness. And that way, the child is bound to be a lot more empowered and happier in this world.
Thank you, Amrita. And I'd like to thank the participants today who've taken time out and come, to this session. And especially, I want to mention Dr. Satwant Kaur Bhullar, the principal of DAV Public School, Pakhowal, Ludhiana. And from this school, Amrita, we've had more than 80 teachers participating. So when this question
Awesome.
that you answer about children,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that those teachers will, um, go back and with some insight. So thank you so much, Amrita. As usual, I think you're wonderful. Thank you so much.
And Atul, before we sign off, there is something I would like to share. Like in case people have not asked questions enough right now or whatever, like I just want people to know that I'm still reachable even beyond this session today. And because I do life coaching with individuals one-on-one, I do attend to corporates as well through for executive coaching sessions. And I also attend to certain specific groups. I mean, I have some sessions coming up with teachers because I have been a special education teacher myself. I understand what they go through. I have been doing sessions for students. I have done it for parents as well. So this is what I do through Happiness HQ, like Atul already mentioned, one-on-one coaching, corporate coaching, as well as with groups. And here is my contact card. So in case anybody, you can always reach me through my website. There is a way to reach me or directly write to me to my email address. But if you can go to www.thehappinesshq.com, and that's a way that you can reach out to me. You're most welcome to do that. I offer absolutely complimentary discovery session that lasts for about an hour before somebody wants to decide if they really need any coaching or not for their life. So thank you so much, Atul. I'm so happy to be speaking about whatever I spoke with, and I sincerely hope that it was of any value to anybody who's attending this show today.
Thank you so much, Amrita. And from Seva at Home, on behalf of Seva at Home, my name is Atul Kishore. And thank you so much, audience, for being with us. We will come back with more such webinars. And for all your healthcare requirements, you can reach out to Seva at Home. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
have a happy,
Thank you so much.
good day for viewers in the US and UK.